Go ahead, big guy, you're on.
Well, morning, guys. I wanted to begin this time because I know there's a lot of you on here that are fairly new, and I've had a chance to call a couple of you guys and to have a chat to introduce myself a little bit and just to get you know a little bit better, get to know you a little better. But I figured I'd start this time just by actually sharing a little bit more of my story, being a little bit more open right here, and just so you can get to know me a little bit, and then which will lead me into my where I want to go with my talk this morning, or with my some of my thoughts. So I just figured I'd share straight from the beginning of my story, story, from a young boy. So I was born and raised here in Chilliwack. I live just a few steps away from my home where I was born in, and was born into a Christian family. And actually, my family is as far back as I can go, as I can remember, 5, probably even 6 generations that I know are all Christian. It's all Christian background. It's all believers. I was fortunate enough to meet and to actually have lived with my great grandmother for a time, and she was a very, very godly woman. One of those Dutch immigrants who wore black most of the time, and was very steeped in tradition, but was a very, very Christian woman. So I was raised in a family with 4 sisters, no brothers. Never had a brother until my 2 older sisters got married. So I've got 2 older sisters, 2 younger, and it was a huge influence on my life. No real brothers to hang around with or to do, but to do things guys do. So I did a lot of things on my own. Just whatever boys do, did on my own. I had cousins nearby. We did things with them. Didn't have a major affluent upbringing. My parents weren't super well to do, but we were blessed with everything we needed all the time. Both my parents were school teachers in a private school. The same school I went to school at, K to 12, the same school my kids go to school at now, and the same school my wife teaches at right now. So pretty tied in at that school, but we were raised on a farm here in Chilliwack, and always had a lot of things to do. I did well at school. I was very bright, I guess. Did way through school, was a breeze, never had any trouble. Even all my younger years, I never had a major challenges in ways. I was never influenced in negative ways by trials of abuse or anything like that. Never had any of those instances in my life where I can look back and had a major impact on my life. There's some other impacts in my life where my aunt that I was quite close to passed away when she was 18, but I can't look back in my younger years and say there was a negative turning point in my life. And I know that is some of the case. We've had some of these topics where we can go back and we look at some of our some of the points that may have caused negative influences in our life, but I can't really do that on mine. So I had a good upbringing. I did start work when I was pretty young. I started my first job when I was 9 years old, and I was working for my grandpa. My first paycheck was $36, and started my first business when I was 15, and I've been an entrepreneur ever since. Started my first construction company when I was 20. I got married when I was 21 to my first girlfriend. Really, I was in school. I was friends with everybody. I was never a super out extrovert person. I was, just friends with everybody, but I didn't really have any enemies either. It was just a good, I couldn't have anybody that was against me, and I couldn't have anybody that was, or didn't have any major close friends either. I was kind of just one of those guys that floated around and was happy-go-lucky kind of person. So I was married in 2004 to my wife. We've been married almost 16 years, or actually just over 16 years. And we have 4 daughters. So I had 4 sisters, and now I have 4 daughters, ages 5 to 13. So I've got major estrogen influences in my life. I just wanted to go straight into that's kind of my background a little bit. My introduction to pornography and to sexual addiction was probably at the age of around 13, and for me it was just completely innocent. Really, I was biking to work one morning. I worked on my grandpa's farm about 2 kilometers down the road, and I biked every morning, usually at 5 o'clock to go milk cows and do chores there. And I would go before school and bike home by 7:30 and get on the bus by 8. But one morning, early in the morning, somebody had tossed a magazine out the window of their car, and it was lying on the side of the road. And I happened to be driving my bike there that morning, and that's where I picked up my first introduction to pornography. It quickly became something, curiosity just took hold there, and it really enwrapped my life from about that time on. I was faced with that challenge when I was about 15, maybe 14 or 15. My dad challenged me on a little bit, and we had some discussion about it, but that was about the extent of my sharing at that time. We never really had more discussions about it at all. So it was a major challenge for me through my young adolescent years and into my teenage years. I was also one of those guys who thought that if I get married, that my challenges would be gone. I wouldn't, I'd be able to move those desires and challenges into my marriage, but I was very wrong. In fact, my wife discovered my pornography usage when only probably 2 years into our marriage. And so we've been probably struggling with this for 14 years together as a husband and wife. Through these last, say, dozen years, I've gone through many counseling sessions with pastors and even counselors and things like that. There was times of victory and times often of relapse and back into similar cycles of the PMO cycle. So I was quite open in the last 12 years with various people, just discussing, just sharing challenges and even time an accountability partner. But I was never completely always honest either with the challenges that I was facing. I would sometimes open up a bit, but never maybe completely either. So about 2 years ago, November of 2018, so almost just over 2 years ago, my wife and I went to our second, I think it's a family life marriage conference in Whistler. So it was just over 2 years ago that we went for the second time. And I thought, well, we've gone before. This is, this good weekend. We'll go for a brush up. We'll, touch up some dusty spots and things like that, and we'll move on. It'll be a good weekend, and we'll carry on. But that was not what my wife probably had in mind. She came away with a much different opinion on where we were at as in our relationship, and that really started a really deep dive into recovery. Maybe not a dive, but maybe a climb into recovery. So that's first when about 2018, when late 2018 we were introduced to Dr. Dave. And shortly then in January of 2019, I began in this group and with counseling with Dr. Dave, my wife and I, and we've been working on things ever since. And we hope to continue to work on things moving forward. So I just figured I'd, you know what, put it out there. This is some of the new guys. Some of the other guys know me a little better. Some of the new guys, maybe news for you. I know my journey is probably not the same as any of yours, and there's probably differences. Some of you have other challenges. Some of you may have less challenges, but that's my story, and I just encourage you, as you have time to share with other men around you, to share your story as well if you have the opportunity. So in my life, I've been blessed with many good things. I just, I said I started with my construction company I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, and I've been just blessed with so many good things in life, family, health. Actually currently just last week, Saturday, we moved my grandparents, so my kids' great grandparents, into the suite behind our house. And so now on our farm, we have 4 generations on our farm. And I was just thinking last week, Saturday, how many families could actually share that blessing of being able to have on our farm 4 generations. And it's a really major, but it's just a really good thing to be able to have. So those are some of the things. But when I was thinking about my topic this morning, and what I wanted to talk about is where I want to go with this is what are we going to leave? The question I have for you is, what are we going to leave as a legacy of our lives for you and I? What's going to be left behind? And like I said, I have many good and material blessings in life. I've been, a beautiful home, beautiful farm. I do have many things, but is that really what I'm going to leave behind? Another question I have for you is what are we striving for in our recovery? What's up front? What's a goal for me to be recovered from sexual addiction and to be I guess recovered or in a recovery from sexual addictions? What's my drive to be here, to meet with other men, to I've got a family of girls, so for me my recovery is about me, not necessarily bringing up boys, because that's a little bit different. But I can't share my recovery journey necessarily with my daughters. In a way I can, but it's different. So my question for me is, for what's driving me, and I guess it's the same question I can ask you. I did a little search. I guess the thing is, I can be a good business manager. I can be a hard worker. I can be a good friend, a good husband. I can be kind. I can be compassionate. All these things I can be remembered for. Those are good things to be remembered for. But is that really a true legacy? Is there something more that we can leave and that we can strive for, that is more than just being kind or compassionate or a good dad or a good husband, even more than just being a religious person, going to church or being true in worship? Those are good things again, but that's not really what a true legacy is. I searched in scriptures, and interestingly enough, none of the versions ever use the word legacy ever. There's very few versions that use the word legacy at all. They do use the word inheritance or heritage, and the words like that. But those are important themes throughout Scripture. But both in Old and New Covenant, they do not use the word legacy. Yet legacy is related to these topics of inheritance or heritage. So what is biblical? What is a biblical perspective of legacy? I just did some searching here, and I'm going to read here. Legacy focuses on what will endure. It's about passing on things of lasting value to those who will live on after us. Legacy involves living intentionally and aiming to build into the next generations for their success. Instead of having nothing to say on the subject, the Bible informs our idea of legacy as we ask, what is most significant to pass on to future generations, and how should we go about it? What does the Bible have to say about the idea of legacy? Most versions don't include the word legacy even once. Is there such a thing as a biblical legacy? I'm convinced there is. So then I just want to use some scripture verses that Sharon and then some of the verses that I've got here. Just Psalm 78 verse 4. We will not hide them from our children, but tell them to the coming generations the glorious deeds of the Lord and his might and the wonders that he has done. So it's just that the scripture there is telling us to share, to continue to share to future generations. Not all of us have kids. Some of us do. Some of us has grandkids. But as we learn here and as we learn in various ways in faith, that we would share those to others, that we would talk about it, that we would be we would be willing to share to those future generations the deeds that God has done for us in our lives. Another one here that's spoke to me was Joshua 4, verse 21 to 22. And here it says, and he said to the people of Israel, when your children, this is a story when Joshua crossed the Jordan River, and he asked one man from each tribe of the children of Israel to carry a stone to the other side of the river and set up a pillar of stones, a stack of stones. And the idea was that as future generations would see the stack of stones, that they would ask why, they would ask the fathers why there would be that stack of stones. And it was the purpose that it would give the fathers a reason to share what the Lord had done for the people of Israel in crossing the Jordan River and bringing them out of Egypt. So what are we going to do to set up a stack of stones, or what in our lives would be a pillar that would show our future generations what the Lord has done for us in our lives? Going from there, I just want to move into more about the idea of living a life of faith. In Hebrews 11, we see a whole chapter of men and women described as heroes of faith, and it's in a way that's a legacy for their lives, a pillar that they've set up in their lives that would describe a clear walk and a path of faith in God. Mostly Old Testament figures that we can read. We can read of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Joseph, Moses. All of those are mentioned in that scripture passage there, Hebrews 11. But even we read of Samson and others there that, the Bible has great detail on some of their low points in life, but yet they are mentioned in this book of Hebrews 11 as a hero of faith. So we can look to some of their examples as being men of faith. But my main goal is to look at chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Just got to open that up here a second. I thought I had it ready here, but so therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, this is directly following the chapter of Hebrews 11, where it describes all these heroes of faith. So considering all those heroes of faith, since they are as a cloud of witnesses to us, let us let us get rid of everything that hinders us. and the sin that so easily entangles us. Just setting aside, just shedding the backpack or the challenges of our lives and the sin that pulls us down and pulls us back from really putting everything into it, and let us run. Let us run. I think that's a pretty impressive way of putting it. We're not here to walk. We're not here to even stand or sit. We're here to run with perseverance the race. The race being our lives. Our lives are a race in a way. Time goes so fast. It's every day seems to be. I know for me, it just seems like every day is so short, and it seems like every day is a rat race. But I guess it's not described here as a rat race, but it is a race to run, and it's marked out for us. The race is already set. We don't have to worry about where the race is going or how long it's going to be. It's already set for us, exactly where we're going. And fixing our eyes on Jesus, pioneer and perfecter of faith. He is the prize. He's he's at the finish line for us, and he is the one who got us started. He's the one who's teaching us all the way along that race of where we're going. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. So that's our journey. That's our trip. We're on this race to run with our eyes on Jesus, a trip of faith, a journey of faith. And I'd encourage my thoughts here to encourage each of us to, as we go through this journey of recovery and move forward as examples in lives of those around us, to be heroes, to have the idea of faith, and to long for a stronger faith in Jesus, that our lives would be examples in not only who we are, but just of our faith in Jesus, that we would have others that would be willing to look to us or to ask us what that pillar is about. Why are we here? And what are we doing? What's driving us? And that's hopefully a question that my kids will ask, me, and what, Dad, what's driving you, Dad? Why are you reading the Bible? Why are you teaching us the Bible and things like that, just so that they would be encouraged in their own faith. So that's where I was going this morning. I would welcome some thoughts on that.